Ahoy, mates. Welcome to another episode of Captain's Quarters Podcast. And we're joined tonight by my good friend, crew member, and traveling partner once in a while, Mr. Leon. Welcome aboard. He is the owner of Ancient City Leatherworks, but he also spent all the last 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks,
A week and a half.
at something called Alify. We'll be talking about Alify in just a short bit. That's our whole evening episode tonight, is to talk about Alify. I've actually attended it twice. It was a lot of fun, but I haven't been for several years. But we'll talk more about that in a few. Let's welcome everybody aboard. I have to take my traditional drink and let everybody know what we're drinking tonight. Sailor Jerry's. Now, I've had the sufferings of a cold or a head cold, and that sure is cleaning it out right now, I can tell you. So, Leon's our special guest, but let's do our quote of the week. And I thought this was a good quote. It was perfect for us. Now and then we had hoped that if we lived and were good, God would permit us to be pirates. Mark Twain. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that actually came out of Mark Twain's book from 1883, Life on the Mississippi, which was pretty much a recap of his entire life that he spent on the Mississippi as a boat captain, believe it or not, also. And it also gave him his ideas for Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, which I shouldn't mention this, but Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn are on the cancel culture list. That's all I'm going to say. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our quote of the week. Mark Twain, a great, great author, and done quite a few good things. And our question of the week, Mr. Davey, what do you have? How many countries have you visited in your life? Count them up. Might take some time. I'll tell you, for me, it's been somewhere around 17 or 18. But when we get to our discussion, let's see if anybody pops up with a good answer. Now, we have a new section that we do called Meet a Podcast Fan or a Shout Out. So, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have a fan that we want to bring up to attention, but we are going to do a shout out. This past weekend, Hellfire and I attended the Palencia 5K run. Got my badge. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there we are. A little out of focus, but that's us. Me and Hellfire himself. It was the 7th annual, and Palencia Pirates, that's their mascot. We've been a part of Palencia Elementary School here in St. Johns County since they started 7 years ago. So we go to their run. This was the toughest run. Hellfire, was it cold?
It sure was. 39 degrees with raging winds.
And the winds made it feel a lot worse. And I think that's why I've got a head cold now. Speaking of that, let's have another shot of whiskey or rum. It was a good event, though. They had about 400 runners. I think that was a little less than they've had in the past, but I'm pretty sure it was the cold that got everybody out, or didn't get everybody out. And it was well worth it, though. We enjoy working with Palencia Elementary School. 3. Adam Levins has been to 3. 1 so far, but in a few years we'll be visiting the UK. Here, I'm going to list mine. England, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Mexico, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, United States, Philippines, Thailand. That's 11. I said 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe a couple others. If they come to me, I'll spout them out. Most of that was because I spent time working for Uncle Sam, which my friend here, Mr. Leon, also did time with Uncle Sam. So a shout out to any of our military people. But keep that in mind. Let's see what else we have. Mr. Zachary that was there, he's from up north. Remind us where you're from, and you're going to be a guest on our show, hopefully sometime in April. Already talked it over with the boys. So you'll be here for that. But Palencia was a great thing, and we hope that you'll come out and support Palencia with some of the other things we do. We'll let you know. Donna has been to 5 countries. That's very good. So Leon also fills the bill of Meet the Crew because he is part of the St. Augustine Swashbucklers, and that helps us out by having him be a part of our Swashbucklers, be a part of our podcast. He helps us out there, and it's all about Aliphi now. So let's see. Before we talk about Aliphi, let's show the poster that we have that shows what the crew is up to for the next 90 to 120 to 360 days. We stay busy, ladies and gentlemen. This poster will be updated as things come along, but we will be doing this poster on a regular basis to let everybody know the events that the Swashbucklers do, because we'd love to have all of you come out and be a part of it. Celtic Heritage Music Festival. That's the second weekend of March. June 18th will be our Shakespearean Gala. Now, the Pirates of Pontchartrain, we're still going to support them, but both Leon and I will not be able to go this year. It's pretty much a set thing. And it's not because we don't want to, and it's not because their offers to us are not worthy. It just happens to be that the school tours in the museum, I happen to know personally that February and March, we have 300 school tours in the museum in 2 months. And April's not going to be any better, although it is better because we have so many. Here's the problem that's going on in our school systems here. Because the schools have been shut down on and off for the last 2 years, normally 4th graders in the state of Florida start their education on history with Florida history, then in the 5th grade do American history. Some of those 4th graders are now 5th or 6th graders, and the schools are bringing them along anyway because the 4th grade field trip is the highlight of those kids' school year. So we're all going to be having 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. I actually had 2 tours this past week that were 4th and 5th graders and some 6th graders. So the St. Augustine Rum Fest in the summer. We haven't set an exact date yet, but we're very strong on that one. You can see, obviously, every Monday night, Captain's Quarters podcast. We'll be filling in a new one probably next week when the Seafood Festival, which is no longer the Seafood Festival, which they'll be called the Spring Fest. And we're hoping that they will bring us in to be a part of it. They want Captain Mayhem's magic shows, and they'd like to have the crew doing some games for the kids. And then at the very bottom down there, you see our Christmas Village and our Halloween Village. Both of those we're going to do again because they're a lot of fun and they attract a lot of attention. So there's the adventures for 2022 by the St. Augustine Swashbucklers. But let's talk Aliphi. Aliphi is a great encampment. It's a reenactment encampment. And how long has it been going on?
This was the 51st year.
51st year. There's a great aerial shot. All those white are tents.
I'm right there in the white tent, right there.
Right there, yes. Put that back up there real quick, Mr. Davey. All of those are white tents. Those are all period correct, proper encampment tents. That is one big, gigantic tent city. Now you see the, if I remember right, you see the long stretch of space in the middle. That's kind of their. I can't think of the word I want to use now.
It's the like our town square. It's called like our commons.
That's it. It's a common area. And I actually, when I was there, I performed in the commons. They asked me to do some magic. I had just been there my first year to visit, and they said, "Hey, Mayhem, do some magic." They brought a big stump out, put the stump out there. I had so many people standing around on the commons they couldn't walk around. It was wonderful. And now this here is the shooting area.
That is the shooting range. To the left, the kind of blocked out areas that have berms. That is the shooting area.
That's the shooting area. And then way up in the top right hand corner, is that the parking facility?
That is the parking area where everybody puts their vehicles and trailers. Now a little bit closer into the tents, there is handicapped disabled parking.
So once you get there, if you're part of Aliphi, once you get there, you have a certain amount of time to offload all your equipment, and then you have to get everything of modern day convenience out of the way, including your cars and your trailers. Now, some of the encampment some of the tents, they do have some modern conveniences, but they have to be hidden.
And I'll go into that a little bit. Now, I arrived there on the 11th, and fellow crew member Steve Kreider and I got a hotel room so we could be in there on time in the morning. The gate opens up to get in at 8 o'clock on the 12th this year, and you get in line at the gate, and then it's a land rush.
Wow.
If you're not a club member, which Steve and I are not club members, it's a land rush to go get your spot.
So it's a first come, first serve for the spot.
It is. Now, there's a little bit of holding of spaces, but
Politics.
it's very loose.
David did really good. He went on their Facebook page. Is that right, Mr. Navigator?
Yes, and I pulled down a set of pictures.
Yeah, so we found some pictures to share with everybody. It's really a lot of fun. You are actually living in the time frame of the 1880s?
Pre-1840.
Pre-1840. So I'm off by 5 decades.
The last official rendezvous out, now we're talking the fur trade trapper period, was, I believe, 1841.
Right.
So everything in your camp that's visible and on display and out, and including your dress, with a few exceptions, has to be pre-1840.
So when I went there, I dressed as a medicine show man. And I actually was really interested in creating a wagon and doing a medicine show as part of Alify all the time. But when I started to get involved with the Pirate Museum, it kind of took that little thought away, was to have a medicine show down there. But I'd still go down there and do it. But the way the timing is, it's just not possible. It's wonderful down there. Everybody lives, eats, and breathes this time period.
That's correct.
And the evenings when the candles and the torches and the fire is all up, you walk around amongst everybody, and you can hail to a fire and step in, and they'll share their drinks with you, and it's wonderful. What's your favorite part of it?
The camaraderie. I've been camping in the same general area with the same people for the most part for the last 20 years. And it's go there for friendship. Like last year, a lot of the folks, believe it or not, I'm considered one of the younger ones there in my area.
Right.
So a lot of them just made the choice that was good for them not to go last year because of the COVID scare before everything settled down. So I didn't go either, because as much as I love camping, I'm not going to set up and stare across an empty field. Right.
Now, I over the weekend when I was looking at their website and their Facebook page to find other pictures to send to Mr. Longwood there, they have children's activities. That was really cool. Here are the ones I saw that were really cool. They had a big pile of dirt, and they had children excavating for treasures or artifacts, not treasures. And then I saw a couple of the children, grade school and teenagers, that were holding awards because they were great tomahawk throwers, great archery shooters. I don't know, do the children, are they allowed to do black powder also?
Yes, they are, with their parental supervision.
So it's not just a bunch of adults sitting around drinking into the night and being hellacious. It is a family affair.
It really very much is. In fact, I was looking at one of the after action reports, and they had over 1,800 ticketed medallion participants that actually had their medallions, and an additional 500 children.
Wow.
If a child is 17 and below, and you have everything from 17-year-olds there to, both my boys went before they were a year old. There was 500 registered children there.
Wow. See, it was a lot of fun when I went there. How many tents do you think they have there, or how many separate encampments do you think are there?
Well, as far as the tents go, usually
it looks to, if you were to look at the number, the guesstimation would be somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 tents.
I would say tentage, because almost every tent has a fly with it, so that might be a little deceiving with the with the overhead shot, but you've got to figure roughly 2 people per tent.
Right.
That's because usually it's couples going, and then add on a couple kids into there.
Over 2,000 people.
Yeah, we're talking over 2,000 people, so we're talking probably about 700 to 800 tents.
Now, not every day is
Camps.
open to the public, right?
No, it is not. It is closed to the public from the 12th and until the middle Thursday is school day,
Right.
where they have guided tours to there's actually active blacksmiths there, there's active weavers there, there's potters there, there's storytellers there. There's Jimmy Sawgrass was there.
Oh, I was going to ask if he was
Yes,
there.
Jimmy Sawgrass was there with his Native American displays.
Was that the display we saw there? No, that wasn't. That.
No, that's one of the lodges.
Yeah.
And those stay down in the Native American side of the encampment. They have a tendency to do a lot of different medicine things late into the night. And with their drums and everything, they have their own
Right.
kind of. They're part of the group, of course, but they prefer to be a little bit
Right.
further away because they're doing their own different ceremonies.
David, there was another picture of an Indian encampment there. Pop that up again. I know it wasn't Jimmy Sawgrass. I'm trying to think of the name
Yeah,
of
I believe it was.
it.
Yeah, that's
Is that
that's Jimmy
Is that
right
Jimmy?
there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Jimmy
There's Jimmy.
Sawgrass.
Jimmy, for those of you that don't know, Jimmy Sawgrass is probably one of the most well-known Indian reenactors.
You Google Native American and Jimmy
Yeah,
Sawgrass.
Jimmy
pops
Sawgrass
up.
pops up. So I've had the pleasure of meeting and talking with him maybe only twice in my time frame of being a pirate historian and reenactor, but the man just oozes the knowledge that everybody needs. So it's well worth it to go down and visit him too. So do they have, just so people know what it's all about, you're not always just eating in your encampment. There's communal type times,
There are.
and you share, and
I participate in another reenactment group that's there, Clan Wolf, which is a Scottish heritage. And wearing my kilt out there in the cold weather, that's always
it
a lot
cold?
of fun. It always seems to get colder when I have to wear a kilt. I don't know why. But we have a March of the Tartans throughout camp, and then they have Scottish games, and that are participated in by the younger men that are in much better shape than me. And then that evening we have a dinner and a ceilidh.
now you told me, and so I haven't asked you after the fact. You told me there was going to be an evening of pirate discussion. Did that happen?
It did. I did not. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend. My campmate Jean, she got sick,
Yeah,
and so I was hanging around camp a little bit more. But she was in. They had a little seminar on pirate lore, but they also had a pirate party that started at 8 in the evening. And from the pictures I saw and from what I heard about it, it was very well attended.
Well, damn. I guess that would have been the night that I should have showed up.
And pirates are getting more and more accepted because I think people are realizing the history of pirates in Florida.
Well, not just in Florida, but mostly in Florida, but primarily along the colonies and their sea coast. But you do tours at the Pirate Museum to me, and
Yep. Pardon me.
somebody. So we, Leon does tours with me at the Pirate Museum, which, by the way, is one of our sponsors for this show for the year 2022. And we talk it up about pirates because there's a whole lot of things that we talk about with pirates that have nothing to do with walking the plank and standing around saying "R" and parents on our shoulders and buried treasure. There are a lot of things about pirate history that has made this country, truly. But let's get back to Alify, because we're going to do another episode on pirate history. And I've got a new episode we're going to do. I haven't told the boys this, but I was doing some research because one of our history things tonight is about George Washington. And when we get to that spot, I'm going to tell you something else that we're going to do a whole episode on because I found it really interesting. So, Hellfire, it's your job to remind me of that, all right? So, what was your favorite part?
Favorite part was, besides the camaraderie in camp, would probably be the Clan of the Wolf activities and the dinner.
So now, I don't want to. Is Jean watching tonight? Do you think?
I don't. She knows I'm here, so she might be.
And I don't want to make you or her blush, but she's a new interest in your life, a very strong interest.
Yes, very.
And she
strong.
went and attended with you.
Yes,
And she is a past reenactor.
Yes,
She's done reenactment. She has history of reenactment. So,
but not the experience with the camping.
No.
Reenactor camping. She's done what we call modern camping before, but not the reenacting.
really. So how did she like it?
She enjoyed it.
Good.
She already knew a lot of the people that were there and that were attending with my group. And
Maybe that'll just be one more point to convince her to be a part of the St. Augustine Swashbucklers.
I've been trying.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Can't poke lightly, not hard.
So I'll tell you I had great experiences with Aliphi, and a couple of my memories of Aliphi. The first one was when I jumped up on that stump and started doing magic and then had this huge crowd around me. And then the people that run Aliphi said, we got to have you come back more often. And we just never solidified the deal because I then eventually was working for the Pirate Museum. So that's one of, personally as an entertainer, when you jump up on a stump or on a stage and you do something impromptu like I did, getting the great reaction is more rewarding than anything else. But the year I went, which I think was 2009, might have been 9, it might have been 8. I'll have to go back and look. But there was a flurry of snow. There was a flurry, mostly a lot of frost. I had never slept in anything so cold in my life because I wasn't smart. I had an air mattress. And an air mattress, I learned something. An air mattress is not what you want to sleep in cold weather. Not at all.
I learned that the hard way once myself, Captain.
So, but if everybody that's watched our show remembers Chad Light, who is a great historian here in St. Augustine, who works at the Fountain of Youth in the blacksmith shop. He's an artist, and he's well known for his portrayal of Pedro Menendez. It was my first time really, truly meeting Chad. And after that first night of me freezing to death, I must have looked blue all day. And he came over and he gave me a buffalo skin and said, "This will take care of your problem."
It does.
And it sure did help. So that I always remember my first time of ever meeting Chad Light and becoming friends with Chad. And he's one of those kind of historians that you just want to sit down and talk history with because he's knowledgeable, he's accepting, and he's not arguable on things. And that's the best way to be about talking about pirates or history. So it was a good time. And then I made some good friends. Even to this day, there's still some people I talk to. Gene, not your Gene.
Right.
Cookie.
Yeah.
Cookie, and Steve. And I remember Steve was down there that year.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, does he have a nice setup. You'd have thought he had a home. It was really wonderful. So it's a whole lot of fun to be a part of Aliphi, and it's a real great part of history. So tell me, where is it at specifically in Florida? South of Orlando.
It's just south of Bartow, Florida, in a little town called Homeland. And if you Google map Homeland and go to satellite and go down south a little bit, you will actually see the encampment. It seems like every year Google flies over and takes a new satellite picture of the encampment.
It was a great experience, and I wholeheartedly suggest that anybody that wants to really get into reenactment, that's the way they can try to get involved if they can.
Well, you have folks there that are portraying anything from hunters that are out in the field. They just have their lean-to and some blankets, and they sleep in front of a fire and probably freeze various parts of their body off.
Right.
To people with a bit more experience like me. And since I have a lady with me, I brought out everything. I had the 16 by 16 tent.
Oh, that's the one we used at
Yes,
in Louisiana last year.
But this time, rather than the 2 bunks that we had, I had the queen size bed with the air mattress with a buffalo robe on top of it. The wood stove burning in the corner. The propane with the what I call the Eye of Mordor on the top of it to keep everything warm.
Yeah.
A little potty inside for the lady, number 1 only. And and also for the first time this year, I also attached a shower to the tent.
Oh, very cool.
Because the way the tent's set up, it has various breaks in it, and one of the breaks I put a shower in. So about a 4x4 shower.
Yep. I've experienced sleeping with Leon in a 16 by 16 tent. But
you didn't have any of those amenities, Captain.
But the rings, that'll make you wonder what the heck is that.
I do that in my sleep. Yes, I do. So it really is a lot of fun to period correct in camp. It's a lot of fun to gain more knowledge. And there are some people that have done this. You've done it for 20 years. There are people that have done it for longer.
Yes. And there are provisions there for folks that, like many of us, are getting a bit older. So there are charging stations. So a lot of people have rigged up their CPAP machines. A lot of people are using those nowadays. They have their CPAP machines and with a deep charge marine battery. And they do have a charging station where you can go charge those things. And also, there's some folks that with the little scooters that get around, and they've started allowing canines in as if they have the proper credentials to be a service dog.
Yeah, but you can hide the service animals because the hunters and the trappers they had dogs too.
They did, but you don't want to be walking around barefoot, which in the nice days, many of us do, myself included, and step in a pile of number 2.
Yeah, that's very true. I can remember a couple of those mornings when it was so cold that I had to get up and get out of bed and pull on my suspenders and go to the Hooters, and it being so cold that you didn't even want to sit down on them. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was cold. But none of my experiences that I went and stayed for the whole, how many days is it? 11 days? 14 days? 11 days, right?
11 days, actually. Well, how it is, it started officially on the 12th where we could get in the gate. But the 12th, the 13th, and 14th are what they call early setup days. You can have your vehicle in camp, you can come and go, and you can be in modern dress. But by Friday night at 5, vehicle's got to be out of camp, and you're in period. You've gone period.
And so then it goes from that Friday night to the next weekend. So that's 2 weekends, 4,
Saturday,
5, 9, 10 days. 10 days. It really is. If I had more time and or money for the period correctness of it all, I'd probably go down there every year, especially now that they're starting to do more pirate stuff, because then I would offer to do some kind of a conversation or a ringside or a discussion or even a briefing. There's
and
military coming in.
We did have some of our locals there. Conrad Matt was there. Wobble was there.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's a great way to really get into what you're doing. If you really want to learn some reenactment. We got great reenactments here in St. Augustine. In fact, we have reenactment coming up in March. We have reenactment coming up in May. Drake's raid has been moved to May, which is more appropriate for the date that Drake was here, because Drake actually raided here in May. So we have all that. And then March is Cyril's raid. So we'll do all that. Yes, I hear that noise, and that's my dog probably chewing on something he's not supposed to chew on. But we'll let him have it for now. Obviously, it's not important because it was on the ground. That's Maximus Mayhem, for all of you that don't know my dog, the Basset Hound of Captain Mayhem. So Anything you want to share with anybody about?
One thing good about Alify it is a true rendezvous. So you can go in there with the bare minimum of borrowed clothing, and depending on how fancy you want to be, you can come out fully outfitted. From head to toe with all your accoutrements.
Now you did they would call them blanket sales, but you did one your own too, also the blanket sale.
Yes.
Explain that to everybody.
Now, besides the regular folks that are there selling period correct items, if you have an overstock of some things like, or maybe like myself, you have outgrown some things. I was but a wee lad when I started it, but you can put them on the blanket as a blanket trade.
It's kind of like going to a neighborhood that all the garages are open to have a big yard sale.
It's a big yard sale, and many camps have them, and a lot of people, that's part of their stroll, because a lot of people, different camps will have different things out. It's not on a general specific day, but for our encampment and the people I've been with, we've decided that Wednesday will be our day when people come out. We advertise it at the Hooters, and a lot of the people in camp look forward to it.
And the reason they advertise it at the Hooters, and that's not your chicken wings place, by the way. The Hooters is what they affectionately call the enclosed
porta
potties. Yeah. And there's a bunch of them there, but how else do you get the word out to everybody? You advertise there, because everybody has to use the porta potties. Yeah. That's the way it is. Yes, Scarlett, it's exactly like a swap meet. And it's not that you're there trying to make lots of money off of your stuff. You're just trying to unload it and get whatever coin you can for it. So I bought things that I needed. I still have my top hat that I had from there, because as a medicine show man, I wore a top hat with feathers in it. And I picked up a top hat while I was there, and I still have it. So it was a lot of fun. And I keep saying it's a lot of fun because it was.
It is.
It's a lot of fun. The camaraderie is wonderful. And these are all people that have the same like mind about reenactment and history. And maybe even, dare I say, most of them have a better understanding of history than a lot of other people do. So if you get in a conversation with people, I had all kinds of disagreements on certain aspects of history while I was there. But I remember the one thing, even though it was a disagreement, both sides of the argument or both sides of the discussion came to the same conclusion that history really isn't absolute. Zachary Harker says, I always seem to leave with more than I come with when I go to a swap meet. Yeah, well, it's better than down here in Florida. We call them flea markets, but nobody wants to buy fleas here. We got them all the time.
Now, it's not set up to be a swap meet. Now, there's various seminars and learning opportunities throughout the thing. You can learn how to do simple leather work from the person that sells leather and different leather things. There's a lady that sells fibers and dyes and wool, and she teaches people how to use an ankle loom. She also teaches people how to use a scarf loom.
Wow. So just as a hint, most of everybody that pays attention to us knows that the St. Augustine Swashbucklers and Captain Mayhem have the Old City Pirate Fest. And we haven't done it the last 2 years because of COVID. But one of the considerations is that we're going to turn Old City Pirate Fest into a possible Pirate Con that will have seminars and learning opportunities and ideas that would be more than just a festival. So we're looking at 2023 to start that. Let's hope it works out. We'll see what happens. Any questions from my two crewmates, Mr. Henley and Mr. Longwood?
No,
Obviously.
I don't have any questions.
I know Mr. Longwood can't ask many questions because if it wasn't for the navigator, this ship would be running aground every time we turn around. So he's there. You see him back and forth looking around. He's taking care of all the things that come up on the screen. And without the navigator, this show would just be floundering in the water.
Aye.
The captain just sits here and talks a lot, drinks some rum, has good time with the guests. But ladies and gentlemen, it's the navigator that really takes care of everything. So let's give the navigator a big cheer and a hell yeah. Very
Hell
good.
yeah.
All right. So we'll leave Alify for just a few minutes and talk about a couple of other things. And if we have some extra time at the end, we'll go back to Alify and talk to Leon. But let's talk about this week in history. Are you ready, Mr. Davey?
Yeah. For your
All right. So I want to read mine because I picked out a few. And I gave Mr. Longwood the pictures to match up. So let's talk about them. This was a busy week, not necessarily all in the same year for our government, but January 31st, 1865, the constitutional amendment abolishing slavery in the United States was passed by the U.S. House of Representatives. The necessary number of states ratified it, and it became law in December of 1865. So it took almost a year to ratify it. That's very important to know. And it is a major accomplishment of, yeah, I know, there it is right there. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as punishment for crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. That's a great 13th Amendment. And because of that, ladies and gentlemen, February 1st becomes National Freedom Day, commemorates President Lincoln's signing of the amendment abolishing slavery in the United States. It becomes officially a National Freedom Day on June 30th, 1948, when Harry Truman signed it into law. Here's one for all of you music fans, and I picked this one especially for my friends Adam and Christy. January 3rd, 1959, the day the music died. Ladies and gentlemen, Buddy Holly, Ricky Valens, and the Big Bopper all lost their lives in an airplane crash. So let me read what I found out. They were all killed in an airplane crash that was supposed to be, was supposed to be on the plane. Oh, that's Tommy Alsop. Tommy Alsop was also supposed to be on the plane, but he gave his seat to Ricky Valens in a coin toss. Richardson was supposed to ride the bus, but was suffering from flu and didn't want to ride the cold bus. And Richardson is the Big Bopper. So he traded his seat off, and Waylon Jennings voluntarily gave up his seat on the plane for the Big Bopper. As they were preparing for the plane flight, Holly found out Alsop and Jennings were taking the bus, so he joked, "Well, I hope your old bus freezes up again on the way to it." And Jennings jokingly replied, "Well, I hope your old airplane crashes." This would haunt him for the rest of his life. But this event has become famous with all ages, and it's known as the day the music died by a song called American Pie by Don McLean. He wrote that song, I don't even have the date, 1975, I think. How about the 15th Amendment? February 3rd, 1870, the 15th Amendment is ratifying giving blacks the right to vote. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. That's an important amendment. And then, on February 3rd, 1913, the one most of us will hate. The 16th Amendment ratifies giving the United States Congress the power to lay and collect income tax. Boo hiss. How about February 4th, 1789? George Washington is elected with 100% of the Electoral College vote. Ladies and gentlemen, Electoral College, they were using it then. It must be used every time. It is an important part that the forefathers figured out that was very important for a country that would become this size.
Aye.
Here's the other thing that's very important to understand. He was the first president and only president to ever have 100% vote by the Electoral College. It's not happened since. But here's the part I was going to have Hellfire remind me of, but hey, I'm remembering. There were 9 other presidents of the United States, or what would become the United States, before George Washington. I found it interesting, and I believe it's going to be a very interesting episode when we talk about those 4 other men that actually were considered to be presidents of what would become the United States of America. So keep that in mind, and if you want to go look up ahead of time, look it up. It's very interesting. And the last one I have, the United States declares war against Tripoli. Now, this is actually advertised in a book by Brian Kilmeade. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Jefferson refuses to pay entrance or travel fees to the Middle Eastern Muslims through the Mediterranean. The tune of the pay was between $25,000 and $100,000 a year. Thomas Jefferson says, we're a country, we will not pay the right. We will trade with you instead. So they captured one of our ships and some of our other allies. Thomas Jefferson hired a whole bunch of men to go and take them all back. These men would become known as the very first United States Marine Corps. And that's history for you, ladies and gentlemen. Pirates that become the United States Marine Corps. Hats off to anybody that was in the military before, during, and after our time frame. It's them that give us the freedom to do things like we're doing tonight, this show, where we can talk about our beliefs and our history and our love of it. Mr. Davey, I know you got about a minute and a half little montage. Longwood, that was wonderful.
Thank you, Captain.
Graphics, I love the music. That was a great piece of This Week in History. Very good. Hats off to you. Very good. So let's quickly talk about our sponsorship and our supporters and our people that are part of our. Show us what we've got. We just hit 170 subscribers tonight. Just before the show, we have 4 sponsors, and our Patreon support is 4. I'm looking at the $5. 4 first mates at $5 a month. Ladies and gentlemen, that's almost enough money that pays the monthly fee for StreamYard, which is the program we do. Party time, that's right. It's time to party. If you'd like to be a part of our membership and get one of these fantastic coins, so I have 4 people I have to give these fantastic coins to. We have to give them out. Or you want to be a sponsor, there it is, Captain's Quarters podcast logo. And on the back, our sign-off phrase that we use every time, part of the podcast, part of the crew always. That's a good one. Or you can be a sponsor. I'll just let you know that sponsorship is $150 for an entire 12 months, and we give you a whole lot of benefits to go with it. There are some of the things that are the groups that we have. Our sponsors are Dick's Wings, the Pirate Museum, Blue Lotus Dancers, Shiver Me Pictures, and the Colonial Oak. Our charities are Inc., St. Augustine Youth Services, and our own Toys for PITS. PITS stands for Pirates in Training. We have 2 other sponsors that are coming in over the next 2 weeks. We look forward to having them be there, and it helps us to do all the things we need to do to run the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I will say this in public right here, right now. None of the money that comes in for sponsorship and or membership goes in our pocket. It is what we use to pay for the fees and the equipment to keep this show running. Our hope is that 2 or 3 years down the road, we get enough sponsors and backers that YouTube likes us. And then when we hit magic numbers, YouTube will be giving us money back. Yes, Donna, I saw your message. Neglectfully, I guess we left Leon's leather time out. But we got a minute or two. You're still doing leather, right?
Yes, Captain. Doing a lot of leather. I did a couple belts for friends and did a lot of repair. My payment out in Alify, since I'm not a registered dealer
Right
there, I was taking my payment in beer.
Hey, and you told me before the show 3 cases. That's a good start.
I earned 3 cases
3
in
cases
leatherwork.
of beer. Hey, trade is the name of the game. In fact, it's the way this country worked for many, many, many years. Trade, barter. It works. As an entertainer and the captain of a pirate crew, we've bartered many times to get the things we need to do what we want to do. So there's nothing wrong with bartering. Have I missed anything, Mr. Longwood?
Oh, yes. Since this is happening on Saturday.
Our own Gina Newman. We want to give her a shout out. She's having a big belly dance party at the Renaissance Hotel and Convention Center Saturday from 4 to 8. It'll be a grand time. Anytime that you're hanging out with the ladies of the Blue Lotus and the Ancient City Sirens, it is a grand time.
Aye.
It is definitely a grand time. I have a shout out I need to do also, Mr. Davey.
Okay.
While we were doing the Palencia 5K, I met 3 of their sponsors, and we were very interested in their products, and they were great to talk to. And I thought maybe we'd just give them a quick shout out. So the first shout out is to Mitchell Gregson. He's a golfer, and he has an indoor golf system that he gives instructions, and you can actually play a round of golf indoors. All electronic, but a lot of fun. We met him, his wife, his child, who's only about, what do you say, Hellfire, about 13 months old she was?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
With another one on the way. So that's Mitchell Gregson. We have another one here from Fifth Element Adjusting. And I got this from Lucas Taylor. They help people do financial adjusting on their insurance to cover the things that are happening. I'm sorry that I'm so stopped up. But they really work with people on their insurance, and insurance is changing greatly here in the state of Florida because of the economy. And another one, Juice. They create sample good for you juices like watermelon, and my favorite was a lemon, I think it was. And they tell me, I haven't done it yet, I was going to do it tonight and I forgot to do it. They tell me that their juices taste great in vodka and rum. So we hope that if they're watching, they got our shout out. If they don't, they'll hear it over the next week. Nightingale in Florida, France, Italy, Okinawa, Germany, Mexico, and the Bahamas. Oh my, bucket list is Ireland and Kenya. I'd take Ireland and Scotland. I don't need to go to Kenya. But I agree with you. Traveling is fun. So, ladies and gentlemen,
I got my list, Captain.
go ahead, mate.
Now, I had the advantage in first, second, and third grade living in England. So one summer, we went all over England, Ireland, Scotland, Spain, Holland, Portugal, Finland, Sweden, Russia, Greece, Italy, France, Tunisia, Austria, Germany, Mexico, and the Bahamas.
Well, I think I've been bested.
You did.
Very good, Mr. Longwood. Very good. As a pirate, that's a good thing for you. Cheers to you. Did you learn anything visiting those countries?
Well, now remember, first, second, I think it was when I was third grade. How much I got? I remember the wooden shoes in Holland.
I'm going to tell you something that I've
And the
learned.
gondola boats in Italy.
I've been the head pirate of the Pirate and Treasure Museum for 11 years. They've been there for 11 years. So quite frankly, I've been there the whole time. We have visitors from all over the country.
And world.
And the world. Especially the world. One of the things that I adore and enjoy about being a tour guide at the Pirate Museum is not just the school children, but when we do public tours on the weekends and holidays, it's open to everybody. I have met people from all over the world, all walks of life, all persuasions of religion, all thoughts on how the world should be. I can say this quite honestly. I've done over 9,700 tours in 11 years. I can fully say this even more honestly. Common, everyday, run-of-the-mill, all of us people, the citizens of the world, really do have the same thought on how life is supposed to be and how history has led us to this point. Ladies and gentlemen, all of us common people don't argue about it. What did Adam just post up? Because I was talking while I should have been reading. Can you pop that up there for me, Mr. Longwood?
Sure.
It's good for a navigator to have gone places.
I suppose
That
so.
is very true, Mr. Adam. Very true. So we only have a few minutes left of our show. Actually,
we got about.
we got 7 minutes. I guess I didn't talk as much, did I? Pardon me. Hand sanitizer. Oh, wait, I don't need it. I got rum. Scarlet Deerheart. I've been to Mexico, the Grand Caymans, not for any length of time, but my feet did touch their land. My bucket list is England, Ireland, Scotland. But I don't like flying, so Scarlet, let's steal a boat. And let's sail it so we know what it's really like. And I can guarantee you when you come home, you won't ever want to do it again. So we've had a good run so far. What episode is this, Mr. Davey?
18, Captain.
18 episodes, and we've hit 170 subscribers.
Aye.
So we got just a few minutes. Let me tell you what we're planning. If that's all right with Mr. Henley and Mr. Longwood. Aye?
Aye.
Hi.
We're thinking about trying to push the limit so that we can get 200 subscribers. The minute we get 200 subscribers, we've already started collecting gift cards and presents and gifts. We're hoping to come up with 50 gifts. I think we're halfway there already. When we hit 200 subscribers, we're going to take all 200 subscribers, put their names on pieces of paper, put them in a fishbowl, and live on our channel, we will give away 50 presents to the 200 people that have subscribed and got us up to 200. That's a 1 in 4 chance. I already know that we have Walmart gift cards, restaurant gift cards, mugs and glasses and shot glasses. No present will be worth under $5. They will not be cheap, and we hope to get people to subscribe. If we got 200 subscribers by next week, we'd start doing it through the next couple of weeks. If it takes us till the summer, then we'll do it that way. We're still working on the rules and the laws to run this proper, but we believe that we can come up with 50 presents, 50 gifts, and when we hit 200, we're going to give them away and show our appreciation. Hell, by that time, maybe we'll have a few more, and we'll make it 60 or 70. I'd love to do it at 100. Then everybody has a chance, a 1 in 2 chance of winning. But that's how we want to start showing our appreciation to our subscribers and our listeners, is to come in and be a part of what we're doing. I know that we have people watching us from New York tonight, and it's cold up there. Stay warm and drink rum. And next week, do you have that poster, Mr. Longwood? Let's talk about what we've got planned already. There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, next week, February 7th, I have a representative of the Order of the Leviathan, something that I happen to be a part of for the last 10 years. So we're going to talk about the order and the event that happens in St. Augustine the last weekend. On February 14th, we're going to talk about Valentine's history. Maybe we'll bring somebody in on that. On February 21st, we are going to have a presentation on President's Day history. That's what I just told you about earlier. On the 28th, we're going to have my good friend Alvin Broomfield. He owns the Renaissance Festival, the Louisiana Renaissance Festival. It's one of in the top 10 of the country. But last year he did the Pirates of Pontchartrain, and myself and Leon were part of it. We may not be able to go this year, as we've already stated, but I'm going to give him a full episode to talk about the Pirates of Pontchartrain.
Very good.
And since he's going to do it by video technology, I'm going to ask Leon to come and sit with me on that episode also.
Ah, very well.
All right. And then on March 7th, that's it. Yeah, it does say March 7th. It's a little cloudy, but that's all right. I have my good friend Ole Mackerel and his daughter. They're known as the authors B.B. Leclerc. They've written a wonderful book. I've read it. It took me only 2 nights to read it cover to cover. It is a combination of steampunk and military history, that what would have happened if we had a zombie attack instead of the American Civil War. It's a great book. They've just gotten some great kudos across the country, and that date is around their 2nd anniversary. And it would be a whole lot of fun to have them come in and talk about their book, and maybe I can convince him that we could give one away that night. Sketchy Guy was born in Brazil, grew up in the Philippines, and traveled all over. It's nice to see Sketchy Guy on board. We do want to get him involved in our show again. And the Philippines, I've been there. It's great. And I found out on my birthday last year that, believe it or not, there is rum made in the Philippines. Speaking of my birthday, May 7th, I'll be hanging out at the Rum Bar at the Embassy Suites on St. Augustine Beach on that night of my birthday. And anybody is welcome to come and sit and drink rum with me the whole night.
It's a good time.
It is.
It is a good time.
Last week, last year you came. Dear Hearts, Doodads, and Dandies will be donating a gift to this drawing. You know what? Thank you very much, Scarlett. We love to have you there. That's why your logo is on our sponsorship page. Anything else that we've missed? I think we're good. I've gone for a whole hour without blowing my nose, and I can tell my voice is getting really raspy now. So we're going to call out. We have less than 1 minute. Did I miss anything, Mr. Longwood?
No, not to my knowledge.
Mr. Henley, we're good.
Yep, all good.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I've always said, the show must go on. And as much as I would have rather have laid in bed and moaned and cried, it was more fun to come here and drink a couple of rums with my good friend Leon and with my crewmates, Mr. Longwood and Mr. Henley, and with all of our watchers and listeners. So, give it away.
Part of the podcast.
Part of the crew.
Always to you. Cheers.